Call to order the November 11th, 2024 Town of Cambridge City Town Council meeting. And we'll start off with the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, Father God, we come before you tonight and give thanks for this wonderful community you've given us. And Lord, we give thanks for the people who give so much of themselves and their time and their hearts to lead and serve this community. Lord, we pray your blessings, that, Lord, you give us a spirit of unity and cooperation through this meeting and in the coming days, Lord, and we pray for your blessings as we finish out this year and move into the challenges and celebrations of the next year. Pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hi, Bob.
Hello there.
Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Sherry, if you'd like to call roll.
Jim McClain,
Present.
Mike Amick.
Here.
Debbie McGilly. Here. Gary Cole.
Present.
And Jim King is absent.
We have two sets of minutes to approve. The first from the 14th of October. I think you all got that and have reviewed it, hopefully, and would entertain a motion to accept those.
I'll make a motion we accept October 14th.
Have a motion to accept and a second to accept the minutes from October 14th meeting 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then we also have a meeting of 10/21, the special meeting that was held, and same thing, we'll take a motion for that one.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the meeting of 10/21/24. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you. And then we got the claims in front of you.
You got those two lists, please.
I'll make a motion we accept the claims.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the claims from last month. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. And then the financials as well are in front of you.
I'll make a motion we accept the financials.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the financials as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And passed. We have no public hearing, and we'll go on to the guests. I don't see Shay here, so we'll move on from there. Maybe she'll come in late. So we're on to unfinished business. First of all, progress report on ongoing blighted properties.
As you know, they've done a lot of work down on west front on those two houses.
There's two.
One house on east front, they've done a lot of work getting that one taken care of. I'm in the process of writing some letters to some of those that said they're gonna tear some houses down to see where they're at on getting that done, because none of them have been tore down yet. And some of them had said, September, it'd be September, well now it's November. So see if I can get any more of a date on when those houses are gonna be down. And then some of the unsightly properties, a couple of them have been taken care of and cleaned up, and there's a couple that they've worked on them, but I don't think they quite understand what all that, some of what they left is not actually on their property, it's somebody else's property, so I'm gonna be writing some letters to them again to get some more stuff cleaned up.
Okay. Could you give an update on the 314 West Main Street house? I know you said that it's changed ownership, the back.
Well, I had an email back, been a while back, that they were supposedly changing ownership, but on Beacon, it still belonged to that fixed pads. So I'm gonna hump my email that I originally sent this lady to see, hey, did you actually buy this, or did that fall through to see where I need to.
So didn't you say the letters have come back?
The letters that I sent, that fixed pad holdings, I get them back all the time.
That's something we should involve Bob in to see where we can contact these people.
Well, I guess
That's-
first I need to see if it's, find out, to see if I can get hold of this lady that contacted me about any, if there were any fines or
Levies.
levies, anything on it, and I have to see if I can get an answer from her to whether they bought it or if that fell through. And if it fell through, then maybe I may talk to Bob to see if a letter from him to this fixed pad will get us any results.
That should be on the property transfers too, if it was.
Like I said, last time I was on Beacon and looked it up a couple weeks ago, it still said it was in fixed pads.
I was just concerned because that back door's been open all summer and I was just worried what could happen in there. It's not improving at all.
Yeah, there's also an open door on the property on Jones Street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed that too.
And I heard that one sold her in the tax sale, and that's, I'm still.
Is that Third and Jones? Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about there at the corner of
Yeah.
McMurdo?
But it hadn't been updated, has it? Because I looked.
The last I looked, it
Friday,
hadn't been
it's not been
updated yet. I don't know how long that takes to update after a tax sale, but.
Yeah.
How long?
I mean, it depends on how quickly they get to it.
I don't think anything really happens after a tax sale, does it, Bob? I mean, as far as the property.
Well, they get a tax certificate first, and then if the period of redemption expires, then they'll get a county deed to it if there was a buyer at the tax sale. And what happens a lot of times, nobody buys at a tax sale, and it rolls over, and the county has to then just acquire it back.
Yeah.
So I'd have to look up what's happened on this one.
Okay. Any other questions regarding that? I do see several properties with improvements, which is good, and I think the attention we're making to these properties is making a difference, because there are a number of them that have been.
And I think some of the letters that I have sent, you know, I'll send them one and they think, no, they're not gonna do nothing. Well, then I send them one with a fine, and I think somewhere starting like, oh, they mean business.
But they're not
Yeah,
paying
that's
fines.
because they haven't
They're not
received
paying
their
fines,
money.
so we're not following up on that. I mean, I'm not.
How much, we've only gotten the one for all summer. So it's not good sending out letters if nothing happens.
If we send them a letter, we inform them that they've been fined by the town. What is our next?
Yeah, what do we do?
Yeah, I mean, if they just say, so what?
Yeah,
Well,
Where do we go?
ultimately, your only recourse is then to file suit against them to try to collect that fine, and you can collect that, I think it's an extra $100, $125, because you're having to take it
For
to
court
court.
costs.
And then you get a judgment against them, then that judgment would become a lien on the property, and then if you want to try to foreclose that lien, you could do that.
Okay.
Or it would show up if they were trying to sell the property, and they'd have to pay off that lien at that time too. So it's unfortunately more complicated than you would
Right.
hope that it would be, and only makes sense if you have enough fine to go at.
Yeah.
So we need to escalate the fine
Okay.
basically
Yeah.
and make that
Charge more.
official, and then once it reaches a point where it's worth our time and effort, then
Exactly.
we execute.
get their attention.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
There's like a couple that I'll be probably be sending some letters to.
If there are any out there that haven't responded
But I
to a
think one of
fine,
them, this next fine, I've
Increase.
sent them a fine of 100, and I've sent them a fine of 200, so the next one will be 300.
What
So
would really
they'll-
help me, and I think help council too, is if we had a spreadsheet,
Yeah.
and we've talked about this
yeah,
a few
Yeah.
times, to have each property listed, and then have columns set.
Fines.
Initial letter sent, secondary letter. Actually, the council has, if you give them a hearing to declare and affirm it, that it was an unsafe building. Then have they been fined? What action's been taken? And just have columns set out. I think all of us would be.
That would be very
yeah.
helpful.
I think you could probably just add a column to the spreadsheet that you have with the fines in there and the dates that those were.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have a spreadsheet with most of that information, but I don't think it contains the fines and where we are on. And I want these people to realize that it's cumulative too. It's not, well, it's $100
that's
and
what
now it's
I tell them in the
$200.
letter.
So now
I
it's
say,
$600 if they're
you
getting
know.
that $300. So, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Keep on it, Ken, and if you could update that and get it out to everybody, it'd be very beneficial.
Yeah, I'll come down this week and we'll take a look at it and see where we can add a column in there with that information.
All right, next up is Tony Smith and their potbelly pig.
I have an ordinance for us. Let me share the pig file. And you'll notice there's one blank in here because I thought my notes reflected it on the office. But maybe these copies. We are basically redefining livestock or clarifying the definition of livestock, because you may recall that we have a section of the code that says livestock is not allowed within the town limits. So what we are doing is redefining livestock. That part which is in italics is what was added to section 91.01, where you start out with livestock does include horses, cows, goats, pigs, or any other four-legged animal, excluding dogs and cats used for pleasure or profit, and fowl are expressly included within this definition. We now would add, if you approve this, notwithstanding this provision, a potbelly pig being treated as a pet, not exceeding, and that's where I thought I had put in a pound limit, and I couldn't then find my notes, so if somebody has better memory than I, we could fill that in, and kept inside and not to exceed one per household shall not be considered livestock relative to any prohibition set forth within this code. Isn't that kind of what you guys had in mind? And was there any, I thought, we talked about one limit, we talked about being primarily inside, it had to be treated as a pet, but I couldn't remember how big we could go. Do you?
I don't remember.
As I remember, most all of the limitations were put at 200 pounds.
Was it 200
It
pounds?
was 200 pounds.
Okay, then we could,
Because most all of your pigs that do fall into that category actually range, their high range is going to be like what I have at about 150. Some
Okay.
will go 175 maybe, but they'll even head downhill to more in that 100 range as a average rule.
yeah. Were all these conditions satisfactory to you?
That sounds good to me. I mean,
What, I just pulled it up while he was talking, it confirms exactly what it says here, Bob.
Okay,
It says anywhere weigh between 50 to 150, however, there have been cases where it reached up to 200 pounds.
I was thinking it was 200 pounds or less is the general average.
then we can insert that 200, and again, it has to be treated as a pet, be kept inside, not more than one per household, and then it will not be defined as livestock, and therefore it will be allowed in town. What the count, do you know what ordinance this is?
8.
8? So with that addition, if anyone feels this is satisfactory, a motion to approve ordinance 8-2024 would be in order.
I'll make the motion to approve ordinance number 8-2024.
I would second that.
Motion and second to approve ordinance number 8-2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that will be passed.
And here's the original, and this one has your signature page on it too, Sheila.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so you guys can keep your copy and then just sign that original under the in favor, not.
Yeah.
In favor, left hand.
The left-hand column.
Thanks, Bob.
Sure, okay. Happy to help.
Does that settle everything as far as you're concerned, Tony?
On almost everything that I'm concerned.
Okay.
I have a question that I don't know who to address to. If it wouldn't be out of turn if I could ask that, and it's not pig related.
Yeah, go ahead.
Phil Shank was in here sometime over the summer about closing an alley down where he lives down by.
And that's set for December meeting for approval.
What was that?
It's set for December's meeting.
Okay, well, as I remember, you said there was a cost involved in closing the alleys?
Well, it only my time, not for the ordinance, but for the petition, which ends up being about an hour's of time. I bill the town then will bill them because they're using our services to initiate this process. I think that's only cost.
The reason I was asking was, there's an alley there by me that I was thinking about, I would like to have vacated, and that's what I was inquiring about,
see.
was, is the juice worth the squeeze?
That's up to you.
Okay, so, that's my only situation there, it wasn't any other thing than that, so, okay.
Okay, good. Next up is Wi-Fi in the park. So this came about from and we've discussed it a couple times, the help program was willing to put the equipment in the park to supply Wi-Fi in the park. I think what we're having here though is they're, I think, ready to do that, but we have to make a decision on what kind of service to, and you know what, I didn't bring those quotes in, so I'm not sure we'll be able to. Yeah. So it's something we'll have to, for next month, we got quotes from NLBC and what it's based on is speed that we want to use in the park, so I'll get those out to everybody ahead of time so they can review them, and then we can look at it and make a decision for next year on what that'll be, because what we want to do is be able to piggyback onto that, I think, so we can put some security cameras, and some new security cameras in the park, especially with the new equipment going in and everything like that, so.
Which goes with this next one. Lights.
Oh, okay, yes it does. So moving on to new business, we have a issue with lights in the park, that there's complaints how dark the park area is.
It's really dark. I mean, Richard,
Yeah, I didn't realize how dark it had gotten until Halloween night. I worked, part of the night shift for that, and it is extremely dark in there. The shelter houses have no lights, period. It tends to be a place for people to congregate, even after hours maybe. I think we need to address that immediately.
There's one, I was in and looked over the weekend. There's one down here by the shelter house that is Duke's responsibility. I'm gonna get on tomorrow. It's out and they'll come and repair that. And then the one over on the other side, on the east side by the bridge, it's not real bright, it's sort of dimmer. I'll have them look at that one. And then there's two lights that are along the walkway that goes through the east side. And there is, one of those is out. That's another one that has a Duke number on that. I'll put on there for them to.
so how do we get them to put new poles and
I
more lights?
think we need to have them out at the shelter houses themselves and
Yeah.
direct light directly at
Yes.
them. And the ones you walk around and all, that's fine, but that doesn't take care of the problem at the shelter house, especially if we're gonna do cameras again.
Is there electricity at the shelter houses?
There's electricity close, yeah. That building has electricity, the small building next to it.
The one down here does have some plug-ins in it.
But the only issue I think we're still gonna face is when the Christmas lights are in and we power everything down, it kills the power to the park. Is that not accurate?
That's true.
And so we're still gonna combat that unless we get that portion fixed. So it doesn't matter if you put lights up or not, if they turn the power
Well,
off.
typically when they turn the lights off, we're supposed to flip the other breaker, and turn our lights back on. We have several lights down there that are city lights.
Yeah, which makes sense, they don't want the lights on.
We turn the city lights off, turn our lights on.
Right.
And they're supposed to flip them back in the night.
So they're on two different circuits.
But, well, yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay.
It's in the same breaker box, yeah.
Yeah.
The breaker box on the side of the baseball building,
That's just a matter of
just a matter of turning
performing the
switches.
function when you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when the Christmas lights are on, we can turn the other lights off, but when the Christmas lights are off, we can turn the other ones back on?
Yeah.
They're supposed to.
As long as somebody remembers to do it.
Yeah, that's what I remember. But the Duke lights stay on all the time.
But the shelter house is where we need to focus, all three shelter houses.
Yeah.
And there'd be no reason the shelter lights go off at any time, really.
So if,
I don't think you could put them in the shelter house because they would get broke. The ceilings aren't high enough, you know what I mean? It would not be ideal to put it in there, but maybe a new pole with a light that's high and direct it down there or something, but, maybe Duke would be the, or Turpin or somebody, or would be the guy to talk to about that, I don't know.
So,
Get over to John and have him give us some ideas.
we have a shelter house on the other side of the river.
Yep.
We have one down here and one over there.
Yeah.
So we need to look at.
I know there's power at that one and this one.
Yeah.
The
I think
one on the other
baseball
side of the
diamonds-
river, I'm not sure about.
One baseball diamond has lights in it, I'm pretty sure.
Right, but they can be turned
They can be
off.
turned on and off, right?
We want something that they
Yeah.
can't turn off.
They can turn it off themselves, they will turn them off.
Can we look at that in the next month and come with a recommendation to the
I'll
next
see,
meeting?
because I would venture to say Duke's gonna say any more lights. It's something we'll have to take care of ourselves. I'm not sure that they'll put any more in, but I'll talk to,
I would say.
make my contact at Duke, and
I would
as
say
I said, I'll
let's-
talk
let's
to,
check
talk to
with
the
the-
contact I got at Duke, and I'll talk to Turpin just
Yeah.
to see what.
Yeah, let's check with them first and follow up after that. If they do say that, let's find out what we do need.
I mean, other parks are well lit. You know,
Yeah,
don't
Yeah, I don't know
why-
what's happened over time because
No.
it didn't used to be that dark, so
No,
I'm not
not
sure
at
what's,
all.
what's happened, but, if
Well,
some of the
they
lights,
just-
if some of the lights are just out or,
If they just put a newer style light in, put a whole lot more light off than those old bulbs I got.
I know the one that they split in the drive there, that pole's gone, it got broke off
Right.
and it just rotted in the ground, so that light is gone. It's near the basketball court, but,
So I'm staying right under it.
I think we should look at it twofold. We should look at it short term, what can we do right away to get it lit up? And then I think long term, we'll look and see what we can do
Yeah.
to put some nice lights in there that are gonna look good and improve the park, so.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, we have really bright stuff.
I think it should be a priority though.
Yeah.
I do too.
I agree.
So if you can bring something, maybe a recommendation by next meeting, is that quick enough or?
I mean, that's probably the best you're gonna do, I mean, yeah.
Because it's gonna take a little while to figure out what we need in there. Okay. Next up is the contract with Pridemark, so we awarded the contract with Pridemark for the new performance venue. And then at our last special meeting, and we need to sign that contract.
I have reviewed it, everything's satisfactory. It totals $586,800, which is their base $542,800 plus the one alternate that you did contract for at this time, $44,000. Although they will hold their offered bid till January the 1st for alternate 1 and 2. And so that's still there. Otherwise, the contract that they have presented is identical to what was part of their bid packet with a 5% retainage, and everything else being the same unit price for all work. So I think it's satisfactory from a legal standpoint.
We don't need any kind of motion to.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
move to approve the
So,
contract.
I don't know where you signed it. There's
I thought it was on the
contractor as principal, would that be it?
And I just got it, they just dropped it off to me Friday, so.
Yeah. I don't know if that's where you signed it or not. This is just a copy. Contractor as principal? No, that's Lynn, I think.
You know, it's owned by owner. It should be on page 9, at the top of page 9, and you need to put in there, Town of Cambridge City, Indiana, by you. So your name's there. You see that at the top of 9?
No. It's not page 9 right here.
Is that what you were looking at?
No, A312, here it is, 101,
Mhm.
217, okay. Here it is.
While we're doing this, we'll entertain a motion to
Thank you.
approve this contract with
I don't know what this one
Pridemark.
is.
I'll make a motion, we approve the contract with Pridemark.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve and sign the contract with Pridemark for the,
And that motion also authorizes Jim to sign on behalf of the town, does it
It does.
not?
Okay.
I thought I heard that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, he's supposed to put town Kansas City.
Yeah, right above the top. And then just sign your name, show council clerk.
Okay, while we're on that one, I'm gonna jump down, Sherry, and we'll talk about the, this wasn't on the agenda, but I talked to Sherry about it this morning. As we were, Bob, you recall, we were going through, trying to get the award correct and everything through with Okra. We talked about, we had committed to having $150,000 of ARPA funds, and with the roofing, we were gonna drop a little below that. But Sherry and I have talked, and we've got some alternates to come up with the rest of the funds for that. But we're gonna need to amend the,
October minutes,
pardon me?
the October minutes.
Yeah, the October motion that was made to pay that out of ARPA. So what we're looking at is the remainder that's due, because we paid some of it already, is $15,185. So rather than take that from ARPA, we want to take $7,000 from edit, $5,232 from CCI, and the balance from rainy day equipment fund for the roof. And then that will leave what we need in ARPA to finish out the performance venue as we presented it to Okra. So I would entertain, we just need a motion to change that previous, right?
Yeah, you're not just changing the minute, you're changing your actions.
Right.
That's where the money's coming from, so.
So we need a motion to change that to pay from, as I mentioned there.
As Jim would say, so moved. I'm not gonna repeat all of that. I
No,
don't think I can.
Second.
Do we have a second?
Debbie did.
Okay. We have a motion, a second, to change the funding for the fire station roof as I presented it. $7,000 from building improvement, $52.32 from CCI, and $29.53 from rainy day equipment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That clears that up.
Sure.
Then we have a citizen complaint on the East Church Street residence.
This
It's regarding 513 East Church Street. There's apparently an RV trailer plugged into electric and used as temporary housing there. I think this has happened in previous winters as well. Bob, we have an ordinance that deals with that.
I think it comes under your housing code as far as what's allowed to be used as a permanent residence, and I think that does not qualify. So it's not a safe building, it's just a violation of your housing code. So it's something that could be written them, and whether you want to go ahead and fine them or give them a warning, and that's my recommendation, and give them, 20 days to move or something.
What defines
Well,
that as
that's-
a permanent residence versus temporary?
I think you can ask.
If somebody was just gonna, if somebody had it there for 2 weeks or something, that's one thing, but
Yeah.
6 months is a different thing.
I think this house you're talking about, the campers at a campground seasonally, which closes in October, like October 1st, and then they bring it home. And I think they maybe do stay in it for a period of 2 or 3 months through the winter time until the campground reopens, and then they take it back. So it's not a permanent place that they're living in, it's just temporary.
I'm sure it has.
There should be some definition in there of,
I'm sure that's in there. I recall looking at it at some other point, but
I am too, but it's been,
I gotta get a drink of water.
I'm sorry, I had not, I saw that there had been a complaint, but I didn't go into the detail of what it was, I'm sorry. If you guys want to go on to some others, I'll give you.
sure, we can come back to it. Oh, yeah. We also, we have a an invoice that came in regarding electrical engineering for the performance venue. This would be paid out of the funds for the project. And we created a fund for that, right? So what it is, it's the engineering to put in the electrical for it is what it basically is.
There's
But-
29,000 in that venue.
Yeah, so there's 29,000 in the fund right now. So what I need is a motion to pay this invoice of $4,680.
I'll make that motion, pay the invoice.
A motion and a second to pay the invoice to the Engineering Collaborative for $4,680 for the engineering work on the electrical for the performance venue. All in favor? Opposed? There you go.
Thanks. We'll talk about this. The roof. The roof and
Oh yeah, we just talked about that.
the, we did.
So is this somebody from the?
Dustin Landman is the overseer of the horse shows at the horse arena. And they're going to put a new roof on the building. But Jim and I talked, we didn't know if that would be something that, once it's done, if it would be a donation. Since they maintain that, so we just kind of wanted to hear what you guys thought, or if it was okay for them to just do it.
Sounds like a
It's not gonna
donation.
cost us anything, yeah,
But,
it's not gonna cost
I mean,
us.
right.
He just wants to make sure he's doing the right.
Right, whether he runs it through here or just
Yeah.
goes ahead and has somebody,
Yes.
because
To me,
Our
we just need to
insurance is
prove
responsible
it,
if
prove it
somebody's
as
hurt.
accepted as a,
So it hasn't
yeah,
been done
I think we would
yet,
have to
but-
accept it as a donation.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's town property still. Yeah.
Cause I guess they built that, is what Ken
That
thought.
was my
And,
understanding. 'cause
and
there used to
I
be a
asked
little
him and he
building
said they did
out
build,
there,
they
and then
did build that years ago. They built the, I don't know what they use it for, actually, if it's, if they put equipment in there, if
I think
they
they got
announce.
some equipment,
announcer
and I
stand.
think, yeah,
It is an
Bobby's
announcer
like an
stand?
announcer
Okay.
stand.
Okay, so,
It'd
He
still
said
be our
that-
property though, right, even though they built it.
it's
we
permanent
paid-
structure,
yeah.
right?
Anything we ever built at the fire station, we had to donate it to the town. We couldn't,
okay.
nobody can own it but the town.
So it's
Right,
okay
that's
to go
what I was
ahead and tell
thinking.
him to
It's
do
on our
it
property,
So
so,
you have to own it.
yeah,
and accept
we're
it as a
responsible
donation
for it
afterwards?
anyhow,
Yeah.
right.
I think we should go ahead and have a motion to give them approval and accept that as a donation.
After it's done,
Yeah,
or accept it before it's done?
yeah.
Okay,
I'll make the motion that we approve,
the donation.
the donation of a new roof on the building at the horse arena.
Second.
Have a
Okay,
motion and a second to approve the donation of a new roof on the building at the horse arena. All in favor?
okay, I'll get it.
Opposed?
Great, thanks.
Great.
Thank you.
I had EDA grant administration on the new business, but I think that one is going to settle itself out. What we have is, just so you all know, the grant was written by Southern Indiana Regional Planning Commission because the Eastern Indiana Regional Planning Commission didn't have somebody that was knowledgeable in that area to do that. So they worked together. Now it's time to, since we were awarded the grant, we have to have somebody administer it. And Eastern Indiana, that director has resigned and they haven't hired a replacement yet. So they are not able to administer the grant. So as I was discussing with EDA and the county, it sounded like we were going to have to go out and get bids to do this administration. But since then, I've looked at the how the grant was written, and in the grant it says it would be administered by Eastern Indiana and Southern Indiana. So I think we're okay, since it says it that way, to just use Southern Indiana to administer I've got a message into the EDA.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Have you told them yet?
Yeah, so I did already, and they sent a question back, of course, because they always do. And so I've answered that, but of course they weren't in today, so. But I think it should be settled, but I am gonna get confirmation from the EDA before we move on, but I don't think there's anything we need to do at this point.
Excellent.
I thought we were gonna have to put that out for a quote in this meeting, but I don't believe that's the case at this point.
Good deal.
Right. You still looking, Bob?
I think I found two different things. One is in your building code, you have adopted the state fire and building safety standards and the state Indiana building code standards. We would have to check on that for 1 and 2 family dwelling codes. I've got to think that it probably would not meet that. I would not have that in front of me until I checked. That's where we used to always ask Steve for that kind of thing. But then also for your zoning, in your residential zoned areas, what is allowed is a single family dwelling, and that is defined as a detached building designed and occupied by one family exclusively. This is not going to qualify as a standalone building, in my opinion, and it also even has a lot area, or the ground floor area of that building cannot be less than 720 square feet. I don't know if that would meet that definition either. So you've got a number of things that, if it was being used as their residence, I'm sure is in violation of both of those, building code and your zoning code.
Okay.
So it's up to how you want to do it now. If they say, well, you know, as somebody pointed out, weekend probably would be enough temporary. I'm not sure 2 or 3 or 4 months, but that's pretty much residing,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
But we haven't defined that.
No, but a court would have to
Right.
help you define, are they using that as a residence?
Mhm.
And I think they'd be hard pressed to say they are not.
They're not,
as a
yeah.
residence.
I would agree, I just don't know.
Now, that doesn't mean, you could choose not to enforce it.
Right.
That's fine. But then you open the door for anybody else doing the exact same thing on a seasonal basis.
If we go to them without some defined timeline, though, of how long you could be there, and they push back, are we gonna be right back in the situation we are where?
Well, you can just say what they're, if it's beyond a weekend or maybe a week, if it's beyond a week, we figure you're residing there and that's in a violation of our codes, and you've got to move or else we're gonna be fining you. And later, if you really push it all the way, you get an injunction forcing them to move.
So I guess I'm leaning toward, some kind of warning letter, but I guess
Right.
what.
We give them, what, 30 days to
Yeah,
rectify
but
it?
we say,
and
can it lead to a fine? If-
Yeah, it would lead to a fine, they would be in violation. And then beyond a fine and determination of them doing it would be an injunction to force the removal of that residential trailer from their laws.
Okay. What's everybody think? I think a warning letter.
Yeah, I think there should be a warning letter and we should just define some length of
Do
time.
we know, we need to secure the names of the people we're sending this to? Do we know who's staying
Yeah.
there?
We do.
We do know who's staying there.
It's their property that they're on.
Except, yeah.
Yeah, it's a problem.
I think basically what it is, the
Why are they,
adults,
do they have a house on the property?
yes, the adults basically stay in the camper, I think, and then their adult children stay in the house during that time frame.
Would 30 days be an appropriate time?
I'm all right with that. I mean, after we discover that they're there, somebody is in a situation like that, then we give them 30 days. As you talked about, they may be back out at the campground by the time that all transpires, but.
Do we really know that they're actually staying in it too? I mean, just because it's plugged in doesn't mean they're staying in it. My camper is plugged in at my house currently, and I'm not staying in it.
Right, because you want to keep the heat.
I got my refrigerator plugged in, actually, is why I have mine plugged in, but.
Right.
So
Because that would be their response then, right? They could come back and respond and say, hey, we're not living in it.
Yeah.
If they don't, and then you have the police go out videoing it, I don't
I don't wanna do that.
I mean, just because they're in and out of it really
Yeah, it
doesn't mean
yeah,
that
that's
they're
true.
living in
They're
it.
living in
Yeah.
It isn't, it is, at one time it was on the street a couple of years back, but they have since, they pulled in their own, in their yard, so it's not on the street, but
I'm assuming this is a neighbor that filed a complaint?
I don't know.
Well, I say we send them a letter and then, you know, give them 30 days and then.
And yet the
see what
letter could
happens.
say, we have been informed that you're residing there. If not, then
Right.
establish that, sign an affidavit saying
Right,
you're not.
if
or
they send something, right, send something
Yeah.
back and,
And you want that letter coming from Ken, from your counsel, from me?
What did Steve always call you? Was it the hammer or the?
the hammer.
The hammer.
I can write
Let
it
the
as your
hammer do it.
You wanna come with me?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
Let's-
so.
I see nobody else jumping on.
No, I think so.
Well, yeah, I just think it's gonna have a little more weight behind it, I think, at that,
I will
yeah.
write them.
Yeah, they
You
could probably
know,
do
just
it.
a form letter, just change the name and the address and the things.
So
what, I think there's an issue in town also where someone is staying in a tent in the backyard of someone's property. They've stayed there all summer.
That'd be.
So I've been
tougher, I
told,
think,
so I've
to
been
show
told.
is allowable.
Yikes. Might be cold now.
And I didn't work today, so I don't know if the tent's still up, but currently, but when I work tomorrow, I'll check, but, it's been there quite some time. Now, I can't confirm that somebody is actually staying in it, but it's been up all winter, or all summer, and one of the neighbors said that somebody was staying in it.
Mostly the 10-9 days. Commercial, I'm not sure on private property.
I don't believe it's the landowner that's staying in it, it's someone else.
But they're allowing it.
I would
But
say,
apparently,
it's fine.
it's in the
if you can
backyard.
confirm it's still up, I think we should send them a letter as well.
At least an investigative letter asking them, we've been told that someone is living in this. Please respond, or in 30 days, we expect it to be gone, something.
So that's something Bob needs to do, or Ken, or?
I think that's.
I think it's
hammer.
really the same letter, right?
Yeah.
The
Hammer will do it.
Yeah.
Hammer?
The hammer.
Yeah.
See, Jerry,
Confirm that.
the hammer will do it.
A little bit
I'll email the information to you.
Do letter to the tent dwellers.
Nomads.
No mads, yeah, that's it.
Got Burning Man going on out there in somebody's backyard.
Oh dear.
Well, I mean, it just goes along the same with the blight, you know, if we let it go on, it just gets worse. And, you know, if you start doing something about it, it gets better.
Because you know you're watching, you know, everything backslides if nobody's watching, so let's let them know we see them out there.
Anything else along? All right, we will move on to staff reports. Start with Town Marshal, Richard.
We covered pretty much everything I had already, but just for information, so the fuel tanks have been brought here and set down at the Miller Building. That's as far as, and the pumps are installed on it, but that's as far as they've got so far, so it is moving forward slowly. I know they have the software for the key fobs and all that stuff, and the guy that was putting the tanks there wasn't sure how that was gonna be mounted to the tank yet. So we can't run electricity to it till we know how that's gonna be configured, so hopefully we'll find that out here in the next week or two. So, but it is moving forward, it's really
Tanks
slow.
are installed, they are?
They're sitting there, yeah.
Oh, there's, okay,
Yeah.
fuel tanks, okay.
Ken wasn't here that day, but I guess you're okay with where they're at, right? It's on a piece of concrete that was already there, so I thought that was good. It also has a light above it, so I think it's in a good
Are we
spot.
gonna do the boulders here in town, or are we gonna,
I'm sorry.
are we gonna do the boulders here in town? Round tanks?
What is it? What'd you say?
The bollards, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Keep
it.
people from running into it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think we probably need to do something.
We have to have that, be code,
Yeah.
and we also need a fire extinguisher within 75 feet of it. To meet code.
Well, once those get in, I can get hold of Corson to come, since they take care of all, no, it's not Corson, it's
I'm out.
Dwayne,
Dwayne takes care of that.
Sensor.
Can a fire extinguisher be outside?
Yeah, they probably just need to put a cover over it, but yeah. It can be, yeah, a box, but it just needs to be within 75 feet, so I can get to it.
I would like to think every vehicle that pulls up here to get fuel has a fire extinguisher already, but anyway.
Just if something went wrong though, we wanna make sure that we're at code. If you have a,
So who do we gotta contact to get those, what, bollards?
What's
what
that?
they're called? Those-
Bollards.
well, Ken,
Poles.
about the sleeves, put the ground pour cement on them.
Is that something you do, Ken?
Well, we can't.
Just like a piece of pipe goes around.
The concrete barriers that they have that you can set in there too, or is
You get
that?
those, but the bollards really don't matter because it can't be, they're more permanent structure.
Bollards. Bollards. I've never, bollards.
I just call them yellow poles.
We can go with that.
That's what I'm gonna call them, and they're red targets. Yeah.
One other thing, I have called 3 different places about our leak.
Oh,
Landscape people to come and look, and I can't get anybody to even call me back.
Did you try Reinhardt's?
I did twice, and I've left messages twice, and no one has called me back. So and there's a couple other places I tried too, but we haven't had enough rain recently either to cause the leak. So I don't know what I'm still working on that, but I did check the drain that's back there last week. I think we're gonna be okay with that for our dehumidifier that we have to run a drain just directly into it. And so that's gonna help some, but.
You better stunk us out of here, though.
Well,
Here,
it's been uncovered forever and there's been no gas come through it, but I think once we start running water in it, then we start getting the sewer gas, but we can fix that, so.
Is that a floor drain?
Yes. It's a toilet, it's where a toilet used to be.
Yeah, they should be able to put like one of those rising ball valves in there that stops any
Well, we'll
gas
just make a
from
cap
coming
to
back.
go in there with, it's just gonna have a guard nose hooked to it to pump the water out, otherwise we're gonna have to dump
So it'll
the,
be capped and it'll be
Yeah.
sealed with that.
Yeah.
That should be all right.
yeah.
Shouldn't be that much pressure.
You complain.
I can't.
That's all I have.
What about the electronic speed limit?
It's still in process. I'm trying, believe it. It's just slow, you know, I'm still working the street, taking calls and taking reports and all that too, so, it will get done.
Okay. All right, Jeff, what you got?
Christmas lights are moving along. We're waiting as long as we can to put the sign up across the street, so hopefully somebody won't take it up before we're done with it. I talked to Gary Green. The problem is not our problem as far as the siren. The problem is Wayne County. I guess Dublin now is having issues with, they can't get the signal here. So I'm gonna get some more guys trained on how to manually set it. So somebody be in town, if they hear it, we go under a warning, they get down, at least manually get the siren to sound. It's not an ideal way, don't like to do it that way, but at least we can hopefully
So
get.
ultimately, who's over that in the
Wayne,
county?
EMA.
Are they gonna
Matthew Kane.
fix it though?
Matthew King.
Huh?
Are they ever gonna fix it?
Yeah, they're working on it, it's just, I don't know how high the priority is to them, but it's, cause it's all over here and they're all over there.
We're on the west side.
The reason I ask is, I want to know who I need to go see.
Matthew King.
Is that just like a radio signal they send out?
It's a radio signal, yeah, their antenna over there, they got a little plastic, I guess fiberglass pole there with an antenna on it. And it's not tall enough or big enough to get the signal over here.
What'd we do before?
It was working, but it's not anymore. But we've had everything in check completely. He actually took parts over and ran a test on them. Everything we have is good. Dublin's got a new siren up there, and it won't sound either. It's just hit or miss. Occasionally it'll go off, but
They're probably a little higher than we are.
they're a little higher.
We are, yeah.
We definitely need that fixed for spring.
Yes,
just
that's what I said. I'm gonna get some guys at least trained,
Yeah.
so we can, you know, somebody should be in town and manually go down and push the button and make the siren sound.
That's so sad.
It is, but,
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
Yeah.
I'm sorry though.
I'm not excited about that. It's like a metal box.
What month was it we had that where it didn't go off?
It's
Well, it was the middle of summer.
June.
I think.
Yeah.
Twice, it was twice.
Yeah, it's went off this
Had the
year.
dark
But,
Do the
yeah,
commissioners oversee this guy?
I think so, I think it's the commissioners.
That's what I'm going.
Go see
That's where I'm
somebody.
going.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you really, they said
But
that's
the
all I can
test
do.
worked when they did the test, cause Nathan texted me and asked me if our siren was going off, cause theirs did not during the test.
It's just hit or miss.
Yeah.
It's in a signal, if it's weak, you get Centerville, no problem, but over here, he just don't get to
We
it.
can't have hit and miss.
We
We
can't-
can't
I know.
have,
No, we need
Right,
a sign.
yeah.
Yeah,
Come on.
Cause we were gonna put a booster on ours, but he said that won't help, we're not getting the signal over here.
well, can they
Fix
put a
it.
repeater somewhere over by
We'll have to
Centerville
put
or
something
something
over
like
there, we'll
that?
have to.
all right.
Yeah,
But
because
it's-
they need to do
It's a
something.
county problem, it's a county issue, it's not a Cambridge City issue.
But it is a Cambridge City
But it's
issue.
just a problem for us,
Yeah,
but it's not something that we can manually.
it's an issue we need to bring up with them. For sure.
Soon.
I'll take it to the
Yeah.
county commission.
Okay,
Okay.
good,
We'll push
I'll
the
go with
button.
you.
appreciate
Push
it.
the button down
It's just, I mean, you're putting people's lives at risk.
Absolutely.
Right.
There's no
I mean,
reason
I
for
was,
it.
the one, I was standing under it watching a tornado coming in, and there was no way it could go
No
off.
siren.
Wow.
Get in your
Anything
truck and
else?
just fire that up.
What else you
there.
have,
How's the
Jeff?
roof coming along?
Anything
Well,
else?
they're working on, I just got back to town last night, I
It's-
know they are working on
They
it,
still are, yeah.
and it's coming along.
Excellent. Things are happening.
Yep. Anything else?
I believe I pretty much covered it for right now.
All right, good. Ken, what do you have for us?
Which I'd forward the email to you, but just to let everybody know, we did get awarded the community crossings grant again for paving some streets next year, next spring. And that, so that's always a nice thing to hear when we get that email that we were awarded again. Let's see, we got our lead and copper line inventory into IDEM on time. And that was the project that Wessler's been helping with, that we had gotten we applied for these different grants to help get it done. And now we're working on, we got some letters that there were, I don't remember exactly how many, around 100, that we weren't able to determine whether if it was copper, lead, or what. And so we got a letter that IDEM is requiring us to send out to these residents that, we're not sure what it is, but you could possibly have a service line that contains lead. And those will be going out to those residents that we weren't able to determine what they had.
Would that require something of the resident? I mean, do they have to remove that if we send that to them? Or
Right
just
now,
informing them that
we're informing them what their line is or what it could be. There's still things that IDEM hasn't really made directed yet on how to handle these lines, on what has to be done. That's still, they say one thing and then a month later they say something else, so that's something else we're still waiting to.
Were there many lines identified as having lead?
I don't believe there was. I think we were in pretty good shape in that, on what they found. And then the same thing, we got finished up with collecting all the data for the GPS mapping.
that's what I was gonna ask about.
And we got the equipment, and I've got to go down to Verizon and get a iPad that we'll be able to use with this equipment. And so we're getting that stuff, closed on where it's something we'll be able to be,
The locating equipment.
yeah. That's all I have.
Nothing more than what we've already talked about.
Good. Mike, anything?
I think I'm all clear right now.
Debbie?
No.
Sherry?
No.
Gary?
Nope.
Good. Entertain a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.